Hi, I'm Michelle Hardy, and I wanted to talk to you about when your book is actually published and you've missed some things. So now you want to pull the book, and it's like, oh my God, it's out there already. Some people have actually purchased the book, but it's not sufficient. Some things need to be changed. So I wanted to go over those things with you today, and hopefully this will help you in redoing your book if that's what you need to do. One thing when you need to redo your book because you haven't edited it properly is to go back, and if you've done your own editing, it's best to have someone else look at your book and have them go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Sometimes we'll want to save money, and as a result, we didn't catch every area or every error that was in the book. And it's really hard to do that, catching everything when you're reading your own book. You've read it so much, now you're speed reading, and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds great, but you skipped over words that probably didn't need to be in there, or you needed to add words, so it's missing something. And so now you just have to go back, have someone professionally look at your book and let you know where you're missing things or where you need to add things. It's okay to have a second edition to your book and go back and really fix it how it should be. This is something that, is missing sometimes because we want to save money. It's not always best to just save money. Invest in your book. It's worth it. One thing that some people miss the mark on when doing their book is they don't really invest in the cover to have it laid out, designed properly. So sometimes the pictures don't look as clear as they should look. They're not, the font is not right. And so it's like, you're looking at the title and then you have to ask the author, what is the title? Because they've used this fancy font because they, are creative and they just want it to be beautiful and elegant. But what about the person that's going to be purchasing your book? If they can't even tell what the title is from the font that you use, then maybe you need to go back and do your book cover over again so that they can clearly read it right off, right? Even the colors. If your pictures, are so dark that they cannot really make out anything, you want your cover to pop, right? So if it doesn't just pop right off the screen, when they see it, you send them the link and they see it and they really just have to look in detail to what you're trying to show them, then maybe you need to redo your cover. You want them to right away know what the title is, and from the pictures that you've chosen, the artwork, that actually reflects what you've said in the title. If it doesn't, then maybe we should, revisit and do our book cover again and upload it again. And now this is the new cover. It's important to invest in this right out the gate, but sometimes we have to go back and rework stuff, have different versions of our book cover, to appeal to the market, because we think, okay, yeah, this book is for us, but we want someone to purchase our book. And books, it's just like, it's an eye-catching thing, right? So we want to do that. Optimizing your book description. Now, this is something that was really challenging for me. So it's a constant thing. You're constantly going back and editing your book description, not necessarily on the back of your book, but for social media, right? And for these different publishing platforms. So make sure that right out the gate, the first or second line is something that's really going to grab the reader so that they do not even question about what the book is about. There's, these great books that start off and they'll the first few lines are just so compelling. It's like, oh my God, I got to continue reading, versus, them saying, I don't want to read this. They didn't grab me in the first paragraph. So what can you do to make a description for your book that really says something about it, to make someone want to even dive deeper into reading your book or even looking into it? Sometimes, we'll choose one platform to publish our book, but we really miss the mark when we're only choosing one way to sell our book, because we feel like, oh, this is the easiest. They made it, really simple. It was really effortless. But there are other platforms that take a little bit more time to get approval or what have you. It may even be a cost, but you're going to gain more exposure. So don't just focus on one publishing platform to get the audience that you need to get. So go back, take your book, see where else you can put your book so that it can be purchased for people who are only going to Barnes and Noble, or they're going to other platforms like Lulu and of course Amazon. Everybody says, oh, Amazon, but there are other platforms that you can use to publish, to get a wider audience, because your book can be global. We'll want to rush the process for publishing a book, but sometimes we miss the mark on that, and when we really should take our time. I know my first book that most people know about, it took about 2 years to do everything. I had to do everything in stages. I had the photos that would be used throughout the process and beyond the process, right, for marketing. And then I had the pictures that I wanted to include inside of the book, right? Then there was the cover layout and design. The artist had to draw the cover for my, the illustrator. And so, then there's the layout and design. And then, you got to get your copies of your book and, your ISBN number. So if you're missing some kind of component on your book that you didn't do properly, go back, redo your book. It's okay to have a second edition, and then you'll be fine, because you want to come out the gate swinging and you get a home run, basically. If you don't have an ISBN number for your book, you need to get one, and you need to redo your cover and put the ISBN number on the back of your book. Nowadays, when you go to publishing platforms, they will give you ISBN numbers. But if you're going to be publishing more than one book, or something, you need to have maybe several in your back pocket. So I suggest just buying them in bulk. They are so cheap, inexpensive basically, that you can get several, so that okay, down the line, I have one to put on the back of my book. This is going to make your book be accessible to everybody, and it'll be able to be sold on different platforms. And so you won't have to be going asking this platform for a new ISBN number for your book. It'll be that one number for your book for all the platforms, right? And you kind of control it, right? So that's something that, if you don't have that ISBN number now, go get one, redo your book cover, and then put it up. We'll try to be so fancy, so elegant, just, I want my book to be so beautiful. But what about someone reading it and be able to read the font of the book? Some people want this elegant, beautiful font, but it just takes longer to read. Use some standard font for your book. There's several out there, and then this is where, your person who's laying out your book, that's been trained to do this, they're the expert, they're going to let you know what's the best font for you, right? And also, if you don't have enough words, I've said this before as well, If you don't have enough words, your font might be a little bit bigger, but make sure that it's a font that we can all read, right? That really matters when we're reading books, and that's for your cover, like I said before, and inside your book. You do not have quality pictures in your book, you need to think about doing it again, having it laid out again, and then provide the best quality pictures that you can. We'll look at a picture on the computer. We've taken it with our phones or what have you, and it looks great on the computer, but when it's actually printed by the publisher, it's just like, what is this? Right? So make sure that you invest in some quality pictures, the best that you can get, right? And so that your book turns out great. I can't tell you how many times I've seen some pictures and they're just not great, and the person needs to redo their book to put, because it just makes your book look like it's not professional when you use some picture because, oh, I love this picture. But how about investing right out the gate, So if this is you, go back and redo your pictures. Take that time to invest. Redo your book cover. If you need to do the internal pictures, do that as well. Take care.